like and subscribe. Pretty please. What are some very creepy facts? Female mummies in ancient Egypt were always more decomposed than their male counterparts. They discovered that this was because male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner than female bodies. Female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose in order to avoid necrophilia at the embalmers. Well, that escalated quickly. If Reddit has taught me anything, it's that necrophilia is inevitable. When you happen to be murdered, there is only an about 40% chance that your murderer will be found and punished. Thanks for the encouragement. Reach for the stars, buddy. After getting stung by a cone snail, you don't feel the sting for a little bit. There is no antivenom, and it can be lethal. Treatment is basically keeping the victim alive until the venom wears off. Cone snails are pretty freaky. Some of the most deadly ones can kill you in 30 minutes or less after they sting you. Their shells are super pretty too, so any beachcomber should be aware of these creatures and know how to pick up a shell carefully, just in case someone might still be inside. Locusts aren't a type of animal. They're a condition some grasshoppers experience. Many species of grasshoppers become locusts when they are too crowded. Literally, their legs rubbing together triggers the change. Once grasshoppers start to swarm, they will join up with others, physically grow larger, change color, and eat basically anything they find. Most of a swarm will be born as part of the swarm. Increased mating is part of swarm behavior. This is why it often seems like locust swarms come out of nowhere. Edit. Whoa, this blew up. Thank you for the awards, kind strangers. Unfortunately, I'm not an expert, and my Wikipedia level understanding was super lacking for a post with this many eyes on it. Here are some corrections that have been brought to my attention in the comments. A very small percent of grasshopper species swarm, and not all those that do undergo physical changes. Your garden variety grasshopper is probably harmless, especially if you're in Nap where there's only one species that swarms and it's super rare. Grasshoppers who do swarm are often called locusts even when not swarming. It's less of a grasshoppers catch locust situation, and more of a there are a subset of grasshoppers called locusts who swarm. Blobfish in its natural habitat looks like a normal fish, but it lives so deep underwater that it doesn't use a normal gas bladder to keep itself balanced. Instead, it has a spongy skin that is slightly less dense than water, which becomes damaged and bloated when fishermen bring it up too quickly. It's not really the ugliest fish. It has just experienced something worse than one of us being thrown into outer space. Between sea level and space, there's 1 atmospheric pressure of difference. Between sea level and 2,000 feet underwater, their upper limit, there's 60 atmospheres of difference. If you begin to display symptoms of rabies, you will go crazy and die. There's no cure. Your brain will slowly melt until you're dead. The second you get bitten by anything, you should literally speed to the hospital. In the US, if someone is kidnapped and not found within about a day, then there is a 97% chance the kidnapped person is dead. And 3/4 of them are killed within the first 3 hours of their abduction. That's why it's so important to go the police right away, and for the cops to actually act immediately, instead of waiting 24/48/72 hours. Men who are hanged get a death erection, known as rigor erectus. Pretty awkward for the family, I assume. Tarantulas can swim. When creating the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, they couldn't create skeletons that looked realistic enough, so they used real human skeletons. They've since removed all of them except one. Serial killer Richard Chase took any unlocked door as an invitation to come inside. This is the example I use every time my husband keeps the door unlocked. A black mamba is the fastest snake, which can slither at a speed of 12.5 miles an hour, 20 km/h. They have neurotoxins which are fast acting. The venom shuts down the nervous system and paralyzes the victim. Its venom is able to kill 10 people, and it repeatedly bites. To add on to this, there is an almost 100% kill rate and can kill in 20 minutes. The venom of a black mamba can kill a human in 4 hours if, say, bitten on the ankle or the thumb. However, a bite to the face or torso can bring death from paralysis within 20 minutes. Now, you should listen to this, cause this concerns you. The amount of venom that can be delivered from a single bite can be gargantuan. You know, I've always liked that word. Gargantuan. So rarely have an opportunity to use it in a sentence. If not treated quickly with antivenom, 10 to 15 milligrams can be fatal to human beings. However, the black mamba can deliver as much as 100 to 400 milligrams of venom from a single bite. L driver. Ducks become cannibals due to boredom. Of all fucking reasons, they can only be stopped by cutting off their mouths. Don't fuck with ducks. If you live to age 70, you will have shed around 105 pounds of skin. There's a parasite that enters a fish's mouth, eats the tongue, and replaces itself as the fish's new tongue. As a fish, there isn't a cure and it sucks. I keep saying stuff I don't mean to say. It's quite common after you die to burp a lot, as you have more gas build up. Dead bodies can also sit up on their own sometimes. Also, if a pregnant lady dies, sometimes the gas build up in the body as it decomposes forcefully pushes the baby out. Thanks, I hate it. I also hate the post-mortem baby bazooka. One reason that crows and ravens are associated with death is because they would often follow armies as they marched to battle. Being both carrion birds and extremely intelligent, they realized that a large group of armed men marching on one direction meant that there would be a tasty meal of corpses to eat soon afterwards. It was once discovered that a fir tree was growing inside a human body. Artam Sidorkin went to the doctors, suspecting something wrong with his lungs. The doctors thought they were dealing with a tumor, but turns out he had inhaled a fir tree seed, which had sprouted and had begun growing in his lungs. There was a speech made for Apollo 11. If they were to die on the moon, side fact, if it were to happen, people would look up at the moon knowing that that crew died there, and their bodies would rest there till the end of time, not forgetting that the ocean is somewhat like this. Many people died there too, at the very depths of the sea. Also, their bodies would not have decomposed, because the moon has no oxygen. Instead they would become mummies. Cockroaches have been recorded eating human flesh, both living and dead, as well as fingernails, eyelashes, feet, and hands. The American cockroach and German cockroach are more likely to bite humans than other species. Pretty sure Australian cockroaches do something equally creepy, but as an Australian who plans to sleep at some point in the future, I'm not going to Google it. There are many studies that show they don't like human contact and will clean themselves rigorously if they touch us. Our skin is very oily and can suffocate the breathing holes in their carapace. People don't take their anti-malarial drugs when they travel because they hear bad stories about the side effects and they see native people in the areas living okay without taking pills every day. The truth is, populations native to malaria endemic areas have all passed through pretty intense natural selection for survival and have a host of genes that prevent them from dying or suffering the other worst effects. Also, most of the resistance is built up over time. This is why it's most common for children to die rather than adults. Whatever people have heard about the side effects of the antimalarials, getting it is so much worse. I, fortunately, have never had it, but I study it as part of my work, and people have told me about having it, and they all say the same thing. It is so awful you can't believe you're even still alive. It comes in cycles, usually 48 hours, and each cycle is agonizing and brings you the brink of death. Sometimes it takes you, sometimes it spares you for another few hours until it starts again, and there are forms that, even if you clear the infection with drugs, it still remains dormant in your system and can come back at any time. Crocodiles can gallop like a horse. I don't like knowing this, so I'm cursing you people with this knowledge as well. Fortunately alligators cannot. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe.